Welcome to Ep02 of the Solution Series. We're pleased to have Mr. Sam Samaddar, the Director of the Kelowna International Airport with us and also the Vice Chair of Airport Council International's North American Group. Sam, welcome. We're going to talk about traveling safely with confidence today. I couldn't think of a better guy to chat with about this.
Ian, thank you for having me. It's a delight to be here.
Oh, it's been difficult because I'm used to being up in Kelowna in the summer and being able to maybe play a round of golf or something. It's been a difficult time from that perspective. And I imagine that you're feeling that all the way through with tourism and with businesses and such. And how are things going in Kelowna?
It has been very, very difficult. I mean, these are difficult times for our entire industry, not just aviation, but we look at the entire hospitality and tourism business. It's been very, very difficult. So I think it's very, very important that we have this discussion today.
Yeah, it's the way we're seeing things and listening to our public health officials and looking at what's worked. We're seeing basically three core elements that have been proven to work, and that's the personal hygiene, the proper use of personal protective equipment, and then physical distancing, smaller social bubbles, which is really kind of the hard part as far as us trying to implement and scale things up in our industry or in other industries. How are you seeing things from your side, especially in the airport, but just in general with those issues?
Well, I think when you look at the aviation industry as a whole, it's pivoted very, very quickly as we got to know more about this pandemic. And so, we're very good at risk management as part of our safety management systems, whether it's the airlines or the airports. And we've transitioned very, very quickly to providing the layers of protection that we need to provide, either here at the airport or as you get on board an airline. But there's a very, very important component to this, which really involves you, the individual, and the passenger that comes to the airport to get on board a flight.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I would certainly agree that the industry has pivoted. I mean, I've been somewhat critical about the repeating of the old playbook and wondering if that's the right thing to do. But if we think of it in terms of maybe 9/11, which you were speaking to me about before, the personal accountability and the responsibility we took as individuals, I'm wondering if that was more related to the fact that it was, a human attack versus nature. I wonder if that has anything to do with it, because 9/11, we seemed to have a different approach to it.
Well, I think in terms of safeguards, we look at this as a partnership. And so the passenger is part of that partnership. And what happened after 9/11, we asked you a series of questions. As you were checking in, we asked you, did you pack your own bags? Do you know the contents of those bags, what's in that bag? And did you leave your bag unattended? And those are the questions that we were asking from a security perspective. So when we draw the analogy to COVID-19, we're asking the same questions in a different way about your health and your health safety. And I think that is your responsibility as you go through this. And the examples I can give you is, the first thing is if you're sick, don't get on board an airplane. Rebook your flights, just don't travel. And that's a personal accountability and a personal responsibility. And the second piece is the pre-planning in terms of where you're going. And if you're traveling or the destination, your final destination is a hotspot, is that the wisest thing to be doing as you organize your travel experience and where you want to go? So I think pre-planning is very, very important. Then looking at checking in advance before you come to the airport to make the travel experience touchless as much as we can do that today. And then taking that personal accountability in terms of your hygiene. Have you washed your hands? Have you got your PPE equipment? Are you wearing a mask? Are you using the hand sanitizers that we have available to continue making sure that your hygiene is at a high level? And then maintaining that 2-meter social distancing. And if you find yourself in an awkward situation, at least you still have a mask. We've mandated the requirements for masks throughout the terminal building, and that just provides an extra layer of protection.
Yeah, I think mandating things in a uniform way is really important for our industry. Um, I remain somewhat skeptical about some of the value of or the expense that we've been putting into single point temperature checks, and I would feel better about it if the passengers' travel journey from airport to airport could be collecting that data, so we'd have a trend line at very least. I think that multiple points would be better, but I understand the complexities of that. I really do think that you've hit the nail on the head with personal accountability, though. I think that too many of us are looking to someone else to fix the problem. We're hoping that there'll be a vaccine or there'll be a treatment. I think that we still have to go back to those three key issues of hygiene, PPE, and the social distancing or the physical distancing. We feel that that last element that's got everyone, quite, confused about how do we do that on an airplane. I think we just have to accept that we can put ourselves on an airplane. The airplane should be able to sell all the seats, and we should accept our responsibility to mitigate transmission. And we will not stop transmission of a disease like this that has silent transmission, but we will be able to break the chains of transmission. I think we should be focusing on that. And moving forward, because you shouldn't be flying airplanes half empty from an environmental perspective or a financial perspective. And it's the same as a restaurant. It's very hard to run a restaurant at 50% capacity. I think these things are all connected. And I'm curious. I mean, in a great vacation spot like Kelowna, you must be seeing that in all industries.
Well, I think you've been very vocal about this, about challenging all of us in the industry. 3BP has, and Ian, certainly you have, which has been tremendous. But we need to look at this in terms of the entire value chain. I mean, we're looking at it as airports and potentially airlines and the travel experience, but look at the entire value chain. When you look at hotels, you look at transit, you look at restaurants, you look at different entertainment venues around different communities. What we're talking about in terms of traveling safely is all about these venues, not just airports and airlines. And really, what social responsibilities do you have as an individual to make sure that whether you're going from your home community to your vacation community, that you travel safely, you use your travel manners, and that you continue to look after your safety and those around you as we go through the globe in our travel experience.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how people are taking the basically the fight against this. There's a group of people that seem to be quite fearful of correctly fearful of what could happen and just want everything to stay shut down. But of course, that doesn't work for everyone. And there's the other group that is pushing hard to get things opened up. We're going to have to live with this. It's not going anywhere. There's no, it's not going to magically disappear. They even if a vaccine arrived today, it's going to be to scale it to a global level is months and months away. And I think that if we can recognize that and start moving towards getting the economy open in a responsible way and moving towards improved contact tracing, understanding the privacy elements of it, or looking at it from a different perspective. I think we've been working on something to try to bridge the gap as a good next step as we wait for some of the more elegant solutions to be fully functional. But it's very difficult because nobody seems to want to make a decision to change from an existing policy. And how are we going to push some of the leadership to take those chances? I mean, people are dying at an alarming rate. The infection continues to increase. And I feel the pressure to speak out because we need to do something. I mean, we can do better.
Yeah, the health safety piece has become an integral part of the entire security performance for aviation. And when we look at the health sciences and helping things like health authorities, using things like contact tracing and the automation of contact tracing is going to be critical in terms of reducing the transmission. And the piece of it is that we have to face the fact that local residents are very, very hesitant to invite visitors into their communities. And we have to look at it from that huge, global dimension is how do we ensure the health safety of not just the traveler, but also the health safety of the community as they integrate and they move around to ensure that things like tourism and business become successful in this new climate that we're in.
Yeah,
And so
this.
those,
Sorry, go ahead.
those are things that we're going to have to balance in our new reality.
Yeah, this post-pandemic reality is something that I think we should all be embracing and learning to live with and mitigate, because I think every day we spend hoping for a silver bullet or some sort of magical cure is a day that we're wasting with coming up with better ways to mitigate it. I know that a lot of people in the industry are working hard on it, and I think that it's a matter of trying to pull us all together in that direction, in the sense that I do know it's very difficult from the mandates that public health might have, or that the aviation industry, or some of the municipalities and the businesses. I think there is a common ground here, and that common ground is if we can all agree that it's going to stay for a while, unfortunately, then maybe we can have the discussion a different way. I think that rolling out the confidence building things that aviation did early and moving quickly was a good move. But I do think that it's now time to understand that we need to do something more. And are you seeing that in the industry? Are you seeing some of those things coming?
Again, we are seeing some of that is trying to come together, but it's going to require active participation of everybody in the industry and beyond the industry. So uh, when we look at the health sciences, we're going to need the Public Health Agency of Canada involved. We're going to need the health authorities within the provinces. We're going to need the World Health Organization involved as we continue to move down this road. But the active participation also involves the individual traveler. And so just like we ask for health, your credentials as it relates to you as an individual, we're going to be asking for health credentials as well. And it's there to keep you safe from a health perspective, but it's also to keep everybody around you safe as well. And those are kinds of things that when we talk about these partnerships, that are going to have to be developed. And we're going to have to be specific about how the data is used to develop that trust, but also understand that there's an underlying health benefit for the traveler and the community that they're going to as part of this whole value chain.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It has to include everyone, and it has to respect everyone in the sense that we all listen to Adrian Dix and Bonnie Henry speak on an almost daily basis, and the way they're succinctly relating next steps has been very helpful. And I do believe that it's time that we're all going to have to accept that there's going to have to be some changes in the way that we interact with things like contact tracing or event notification or exposure notification messaging, and accept that there will be a little bit of a give and take on privacy. But I don't think it's anything beyond. Actually, I know it's a lot less than most people give up for their shopping applications or their map applications. And I think we need to start challenging ourselves to understand the cost benefit and the value of that privacy exchange, and make sure that we are protecting our data, but that we're not being closed to sharing information that keeps us all safe.
Yeah, and I think our challenge, I think you'll agree, our challenge to industry is come up with the ideas. Let's take this opportunity to innovate. I think government has got full open ears on this. Industry will have a full reason to innovate here for the protection of the business in the future. And I think we should all look at globally what are the opportunities, and let's get together on this to try and develop systems and approaches that will make the industry better and will ensure that the health safety of the travelers and our employees that work at our airports and on airlines becomes much stronger.
Well, I don't think we can end on a stronger note than that. I think that that's very concise and very correctly said, that we're all in this together. We do need to work together to make something happen. And it's going to come down to innovation, and that's going to mean change. And it's not easy, but I don't see an option. And I look forward to continuing to hear about what's going on in Kelowna and working with you and others to to find those solutions together. So Sam, thank you so much for coming on the Solution Series, guest number 2, and hopefully you enjoyed the experience.
Thank you so much, Ian. Thanks for the great work you're doing.
All right, take care, and you too. Bye now.